Hello everyone and welcome to the press conference for the United States Disc Golf Championships and the inaugural Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship. Joining us now is our reigning champion from last year, and Chris Dickerson. And Chris, I've got to ask, how do you prep for the final major of the year?
You know, same as any other tournament, come out here, get a few rounds in, get your game plan down, and, you know, hopefully convert on what you're trying to do.
Now, you've played almost 30 events already up until this point this year. I think you have 4 or 5 other ones scheduled after that. Any chance of slowing down, any fatigue, anything of that nature, physical or mental, that sets in?
No, you said around 30 this year. I think I hit close to 40 or something like that, a little more last year, definitely the year before, so no, kind of refreshed actually.
And, well, you say refreshing. What is it? How do you recharge yourself? How do you get prepped for the next event? Whether it's a major or a C-tier, how do you refresh yourself?
For me, I think it's a little bit different than most. I just enjoy playing disc golf, practicing, competing, so it's not really the time in between for me. It's knowing that there's going to be another event. That's what kind of is refreshing for me.
And Chris, this is the first time that you will be playing a major event with the expectations of having won last year. Can you talk to us about how those expectations are affecting you?
So far, not really, but that could change once the tournament starts. Yeah, I know going into a tournament that you've won in the past, there are those expectations. I need to play as well as I did the year before, and obviously everybody's trying to come out here and win. It could be a little different. Yeah, I can't tell you exactly how it'll be once the tournament starts, but for now, not much different.
So what aspect of your game does Winthrop challenge you the most on, and what have you been working on to overcome those challenges?
Winthrop, more than any other course, challenges you to stay in bounds. So to throw accurate shots, whether that's a hyzer, a straight shot, a turnover, all the shots need to be in bounds. That's where players start to take big numbers, is whenever they throw out of bounds.
So last year, that final round in the rain, how fresh is that round on your mind? And with being so close to Calvin Heimburg, you guys are good friends, what was it like seeing him make that comeback and the roll away on 17. What's it like seeing your friend roll away for you to take the victory?
Yeah, I didn't realize he was shooting that kind of round up until like hole 9 or hole 10, because I was just kind of focusing on the people on my card, and I knew that I was doing a little bit better than them. So that's just kind of what I was keeping an eye on up until then. It sucks for Calvin. I hate that it happened. It wouldn't matter if it was him or anybody else. It sucks to have something like that happen. But, you know, coming down through there, I wasn't really thinking about what anybody else was doing. I was just trying to play my game. And my game plan was to take a par on 16, par on 17, and see what's left to do on 18.
You spoke to us a little bit after the event about your anxiety. You shared with the whole world that even after becoming a champion, that you were still dealing with that anxiety. How has that anxiety affected you this year, and how have you been working to manage it?
It's gotten a little bit better. So it's actually not disc golf related. It's outside stuff. So disc golf has always been a way for, well, since that had started, has been a way to kind of get away from it and be in my own little world. Focusing on practicing, competing. So that's been one way I've started to work against it. A few other ways, but yeah, still fighting it.
So King Climo won back-to-back years in 1999 and 2000. Mm-hmm. You would only be the second to ever do that.
Oh, wow.
What would that mean for you and your career?
I mean, that'd be great. I think there's only 11 different people that have won this. So to be in such a small category so far, that would be even greater to be in that category of just 2 people.
Well, Chris, thanks for joining us today, and best of luck to you this week.
Thank you.
And joining us now is Paige Pierce. And Paige, a year ago, you left here a champion. This year it's going to be incredibly competitive, and you're coming off of your worst professional performance just a couple weeks ago. What do you feel like you've done to set yourself up for success this weekend?
Well, you really know how to set the stage, Terry. I wasn't honestly even thinking about that particularly, so now I am. I don't think that translates into this event. Even if I won the last event by 20 strokes, I wouldn't really translate into this event. I think that's part of the beauty of being on tour is every week we're faced with a new course, and Winthrop is definitely one I feel very comfortable on. So I think, Chris just said it, keep it in bounds and try to get aggressive when you can. There's going to be certain moments where I try to be pretty aggressive if it's a hazard. If there's red stakes and it's OB, I'll probably be a little bit more conservative.
So fair to say that's maybe the number one thing you take away from your performance a couple weeks ago is that you can reset and come back and it's a whole new event?
I think, my mind wasn't in the game last week, and I was just not really playing very well. So I don't know if I really have that strong of takeaways quite yet. Like I said, I kind of just moved past it. I know that doesn't define me. None of my failures define me, and neither do my victories. So I'm just going to play this event. I only have 2 events left of the year, so I'm really just going to try to smile out there and cherish every moment on the course.
And you spoke of it a moment ago, some of your experiences out here, and you know that you're going to be aggressive, and in other times you're not. You have played here and been a competitor here more than any other player in the FPO division. So are there any other things that you want to make sure that you apply this week with all of that experience and knowledge?
I kind of had a little bit of a wake-up call today. All of my practice rounds, it's like I feel so comfortable on this course and so familiar with it. I know what disc I'm going to throw right away. And today the wind picked up a little bit compared to my other practice rounds. So I just found myself grabbing the same disc that I would have thrown and realizing in that moment, like, oh, okay, I need to account for the wind. So, I think just slowing down a little bit. Don't get too comfortable, even though you are the most experienced player on this course. Make sure you check what the wind's doing. You're very exposed out there on Winthrop Arena. So, just take a couple extra seconds and really make sure you're making the right decision.
Now, you've been very adamant and a huge proponent of the competition, and it continues to rise year after year, but that also has meant our European players, and we've seen the struggles with Kristen Tatar, and we're not seeing Evelina or Henna this week. Did you have any conversations with any of them, specifically maybe Kristen, who was working really hard to still get here and compete against you?
Yeah, I had some conversations with Evelina and Henna earlier this year, like before Worlds, but I haven't spoke with them recently. But Kristen, I reached out to her because I heard that she was having some trouble and just wondering if there's anything any of us can do to help out or if it's kind of too late. And she was saying that, it seems like they've made up their mind, that they've tried multiple options and, for whatever reason, her daughter's visa went through, but theirs didn't. So maybe it's something where since they already got here once this year, that maybe that was an effect, that was a reason why. So I'm not sure exactly why, but it really is a bummer. I know that everybody was looking forward to seeing her back here and playing a little bit more golf this year.
Yeah, and then final point to that is, does it at all diminish your challenge or what's at stake, just knowing that some of our top players are FPO players, of course of no fault of their own, but they're not here for them to challenge you?
I don't mean this in any disrespect at all. I'm going to take this event very seriously, but For me, I don't think it's that sad that Kristen's not here because it's not a major. If this was an equal counterpart to the men's tournament, that's a major championship, I think we would be, putting on quite a fight to get her here and the others. But this is just an experimental A tier this weekend. So I think that Kristen, like she said, she's happy to be back in her own bed, and she shouldn't be too disappointed. She will get another chance at the Winthrop Arena, and hopefully in the future it will be a major for the women as well.
Paige, you mentioned a few weeks ago that you're focused on Player of the Year. How is that race looking, and what can this event contribute toward that?
Yeah, I think that my Player of the Year chances are pretty much over at this point, unless I want to close out the year and play every event. Alyssa's kind of challenged me, like, why do you want Player of the Year? And it's kind of made me to start to question myself, and, like, I think it's an ego thing, and I just want to be the best. And while that is important in sports to continue to raise the bar and to push women's disc golf, I realize that, I feel comfortable in my skills. I know that I'm an accomplished player. I'm happy with myself when I go to bed. I don't need another trophy to remind myself of that. So I decided to stop pushing for that, especially after Nashville. I didn't get any points for my finish because only top 10 gets points. So that was quite a big setback, and unless I wanted to play like 8 more events this year, it's kind of out of my reach. So, kind of reframe for next year, decide if that's something that I actually want and would be, am I going to look back 25 years from now and be happy that I have that trophy, or is it just something to kind of fuel my ego? So, yeah, to answer your question, I think it's Katrina's.
Last year, you opened the event with a 1039 rated 10 under par. Are you ready to improve on that tomorrow?
It's kind of hard to set yourself up to improve on that. I think just going at it and trying to get all the birdies out there. I think it's a course where I can get a lot of birdies. It's just you got to take them one at a time. If you're already thinking about hole 10 when you're on hole 2, you're not really going to be in a good headspace. So, of course, I would like to try to beat that. But, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hi, Paige. Hannah McBeth. You had a successful West Coast swing this year. Earlier this summer, you took 5 events in a row, including the first major of the year. Congrats on that. You seemed super motivated and confident. Are you carrying that with you headed into the finales?
I feel very confident right now, actually. Over the last week, I've been playing every day. After Worlds, it kind of felt like my purpose was kind of lost. I put so much of my heart and soul and body into that tournament, and after that event, I pretty much just gave up on disc golf for a little bit. And I'm starting to feel motivated again. Unfortunately, it's now the season's coming to an end, but yeah, I've been practicing every day, and my putt feels really good. I'm walking up to where my drive's landing, and I know I'm going to make the putt. So I feel very motivated, and like I said, I'm just ready to cherish these last 2 events because the winter is always longer than we want it to be, and I love competing. So yeah, I feel motivated.
Yeah, I know you've talked about just a lot of expectation and pressure, and you're learning as a pro, maybe even more this year than ever, how you gauge success in yourself, talking about the Player of the Year and everything with Katrina and Kristen. But my question is, for you, what does a successful Throw Pink Championship look like?
I think, honestly, for me, I'm finding success right now less so in tournaments, more so in the growth of disc golf. And so a success for me this weekend would be a great broadcast with a bunch of new eyes watching the sport and seeing the level of competition, seeing the camaraderie, seeing what the disc can do, and just people falling in love with the flight of the disc.
Last question. Meteorologists everywhere, all over the world. No, they're calling for rain most of the tournament. This isn't your first time here. You've experienced all weather conditions. You're a veteran, not a rookie, right? Has that crossed your mind as you prepare, and are there any holes that you'll change your game plan on if it is raining?
I haven't looked at the weather, but, there's always a chance. It's always a thought of, like, okay, if something's different, what am I going to do? What's the conservative play on this? And in the rain, honestly, the best thing that I could say that I do and that I would, advise people to do is just slow down. Take a little bit extra time, make sure the disc is completely dry, use your whale sack, and make sure you have a good grip on the disc, and then know that your foot is probably going to slip, so slow your feet down. So that's what I'll be thinking about if it's raining.
Paige Hayden with the PDGA. Big news this week as the DGPT has become the official pro tour of the PDGA. What does that say about the state of the pro game right now to evolve from the national tour to the pro tour in such a relatively short time?
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome that the PDGA has realized that the pro tour has such a the best package, and so to kind of step aside and help them grow into one tour. So I think that the best part about that is that it's easier for the fans to follow. It's less confusing when we talk about multiple tours. So I think that being under one body is a big step up, and I know that the Disc Golf Pro Tour is going to continue to grow and challenge the game to move forward, and then still having the PDGA Majors as the highest level, and those are the tournaments that can absolutely make this into a career if you win those. So I think that we are making strides forward again, and I'm excited to see what 2022 has in store.
Thank you, Paige, and best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.
And joining us now is our two-time champion in Paul McBeth, two-time here at the USDGC. And Paul, some quick math says you like to win this every 3 years. That puts you on track for this year?
Yeah, I think the last time I won was 2018, and previous was 2015. So, yeah, if you like those numbers.
The question is, are you ready, and do you like those numbers?
I like this year, yes, and I like that I'm ready. So, yeah, I'm feeling confident going into it.
So specifically about being ready, we have to talk about your putt, because you've talked about your putt,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been as dialed as we've seen in years past. And I feel like even a few weeks ago, we saw you almost with an entirely different hold or pre-routine to it, maybe a little Anheuser hold on it. Walk us through what's going on.
Well, leading up to that, I was just kind of hitting the cage, and I was tired of hitting the cage. So I wanted to do some tweaks because we're on the road, so we only have, a little amount of time in between tournaments. So just trying to figure out what I can do to get that from hitting the cage, get the nose up a little bit. And I felt like when I had the Anheuser, I would keep my palm up and not, follow through down. So went with it for about a week or so, that one, and then really hit it hard even more after that event to try to figure out what's going on. So just small little tweaks here. I'm not changing anything. It's just kind of, like you said, a pre-routine into my putt. So feeling good. I mean, I felt good last week and didn't make all my putts, and I felt good the week before. So it's tournament day, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, feeling good about it, and they seem like they're going in a lot right now.
Well, by your standards at least, you're not having a banner year. This has not been the incredible performance that, I think back to your Grand Slam year and the year that you won it here. What would it mean for you to still take down this final major of the year, and what would it say for you and your season?
I mean, second at Worlds, first here is at the two majors is pretty good. There's no one that can really do that besides James. So, yeah, I mean, my year's been not as many wins, not as many top threes, but still, one or two maybe outside the top 10 and pretty consistent. So with where the field is today, I think it's a pretty solid year, but not up to my standards yet.
Are we in the media too harsh on you when we say that you're not having a great year? I mean, I know you obviously performed well at the Worlds and took that to the playoff, but is that a harsh assessment?
I mean, I think if you put it on paper, it's a lot closer than people say in the media, but, they're not holding me up to everyone else. They're holding me up to myself, so.
And now you're one of the guys that has had that long walk from 16 over to 17 with everything on the line. What is that walk like? Explain that for somebody that's maybe never seen the event before.
Well, I think a lot of the people who have won this event in the past aren't necessarily forehand dominant. So when you step up to that hole, immediately your first thought is I should throw a forehand here. So I think the people tend to still go with that forehand, and that's where it kind of bites them. But if you're throwing the shot that you're comfortable with and you feel like you can put on that island 9 out of 10 times, I don't think it's that difficult. But the walk does get in a lot of people's heads because they think I should throw a forehand to be safe here, to where their go-to is the backhand. So it is just a mental battle more so than anything. Even when people had strokes going down into that hole, it still comes back to bite them. So it's just island hole. It's an island hole. I think every big tournament seems to have that right there towards the end, and it tends to bite someone every tournament.
And speaking of hole 17, is there ever a situation where you would choose to lay that hole up?
Like short?
Short.
No, I feel like, it's, 220 or something, some feet. It feels like it's downhill. But, no, I feel like that landing zone off to the right is more than fair. And I think the only time people get in trouble is when they're throwing at the left basket. I kind of just play as if the basket's to the right every time and just try to throw it into that basket. And that's my play, because I feel confident making that 30, 40-footer back over trying to land it on, a 10-foot circle. So there are people that like to play that aggressive, but for me, 2 under on that hole is going to gain strokes on a lot of people here.
So, Paul, how's your time been split up between the Paul McBeth Foundation, the Foundation Disc Golf business, your work with Discraft, and the events themselves? Do you feel like it cuts into your practice time at all?
No, luckily I have a really good team associated with each one, to where all I got to do is play well, and that's going to make those entities successful. So I think the off season is going to be a lot of fun with the foundation and traveling to these countries and helping whether it's clinics or just the growth of disc golf in those countries. And Foundation Disc Golf is just something fun in the winter that I get to do a lot of videos. But I do like doing the stuff, keeping busy, filling orders, or just doing what it has to with the business. And then I think there's a lot of fun things, but it keeps me busy rather than getting bored in the off season, because I think it is going to be a long off season this year. But I'm really excited for this off season, because it's like the first time. I got 2 more events, but first time I'm going into off season in a while, not with any injuries.
So how has disc golf changed you over the years? From a kid chasing a dream to an icon spreading the seeds of opportunity, what is that like from your perspective?
Well, it's been a fast, 10 or so years. I was sitting here teeing off on hole 1 when I was, just turned 18, on the lead card playing here, and now I'm 31. So the time's gone by fast. I think that's one of the big things is I feel like I'm still 18-year-old kid out here playing at this event. So, and now I'm one of the older players, the veterans out here, and it is kind of mind-blowing sitting here in that situation. But, I don't feel like a lot of things have changed. I still feel like I'm a kid out here playing, but I do have a little bit more responsibilities, a little bit more of a leadership role. And I feel like even when I was in that position back then, I kind of had that mindset going into it, and I knew, this is where I'd be.
Paul Hayden with the PDGA. Big news this week as the DGPT becomes the official pro tour of the PDGA. The national tour's goal was to set up something like this, and now it's come to fruition. What is the state of pro disc golf right now?
Promising. I think it's very promising. I will say I was a little disappointed to see that it's almost the exact same events as this year. Going into next year, there's nothing really new. So I think really what it's going to be is how well are they ran now. How's the feel of something like Texas State's. We're in Tyler again. We might be at the same courses. So I think that's yet to be determined. But there's going to be a lot of familiar places, and I don't know. I think behind the scenes is where it'll really shine. So we'll see.
Hey, Paul, Zach with the DGPT. At this point in your career, what's more important to you, a win at USDGC, another World Championship, or another Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship? Or do you not think of events in that way?
I don't think of them in that way. I mean, I think Worlds are really big. Obviously, U.S. is really big. The Pro Tour is definitely building, but I don't think it has that prestige or that feel yet. But you know, I think winning is huge, especially right now. You know, there's so many different players winning right now, but it's how you capitalize on those wins.
Well, and you bring up a good point. The field is more competitive than ever these days. Does it excite you to see so many young stars emerging on tour, even if it means you win a little bit less?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more players that I want to go out and beat week in and week out. You know, it's not just the 5 names. You know, there's 25 names now. So, yeah, it is exciting. It makes me want to work more. And like I said, I'm really excited going into this off season and going to work on my skills and, you know, especially the putting, just work on a lot of things and just get ready to, you know, hit that next 10 years and be battling with all these fresh faces.
All right, everyone, that's Paul McBeth. We wish you the best of luck this week.
Thank you.
Joining us now is Macy Veladillas. And Macy, last year at this event, you finished 6th. How do you feel like your game has grown since your performance out here last year?
I became much more consistent than last year. Last year, I really didn't have a game plan. I was just kind of coming out and playing. And now I have more of a game plan, you know, attack when I can attack, but know when there's the right time to lay up and get my par. So
You've got plenty of power, both with a forehand and a backhand. So how do you know what you're going to do, and what does that mean for you when you say you're going to attack?
I'm always attacking, I feel like. But if I'm like anywhere opposition, I need to learn to, you know, calm myself down and be like, okay, am I going to get the par more likely, or can I get the birdies? So I feel like if I'm anywhere to attack, I'm going to attack, I feel like.
So far this year, we've seen you finish 3rd, and 4th, all at Elite Series events. So you're hanging with the best of the best. What does that say about your overall game at such a young career?
I think it's great. I think that there's going to come to a time when I get the win, and I feel like it can be at any tournament at any time, because I feel like I have everything that I need. I just need to get more consistent with my upshot game. I feel like that's really the only thing I need to work on. My putting inside the circle is great. Outside the circle, you know, you make some, you don't. But I feel like I definitely can come out and win. I know like the last tournament I got 3rd place, but it was my first time being in a position where I could win. So I was really nervous going into the last round, but I think that a win is definitely in my future. Maybe soon, maybe not. I don't know.
And speaking of that 3rd place finish last week, it was the biggest cash of your career. How does that feel?
It feels great. It was kind of crazy because, you know, at the end I thought I was in 3rd, then I was in 2nd, then I was in 3rd again. So it was kind of really emotional roller coaster. But yeah, it just feels great to know that I can come out and compete with the best of the best.
And we're all curious. What are your disc golf goals moving forward? Are you planning a full tour in 2022?
Yeah, I definitely want to get as many as I can, as many as God's willing for me to go. But I definitely want to get out there and just try the full-time tour.
Hi, Macie. What does it feel like to drive onto the property at Winthrop? It's famous in disc golf, and now you're out here at the championship.
It's great. I came last year with my grandfather, and he wasn't allowed to walk because we didn't have spectators or anything. But now coming with Jamie for the first time, it's so cool because we were driving up, and we were just both so excited. Like I was like, look at that hole. Do you remember watching on coverage? And now he's going to come play practice round with me. So it's just really exciting to come out and see, like, this is the course, you know.
Absolutely, and you've got perfect conditions during your practice round, but we are expecting rain during the tournament. How are you feeling about that, and will it change any of your game plan out there?
I definitely need to learn how to slow my run-up down because I put a lot of pressure on my front foot, and it causes me to slip a lot. So I think that if I can just slow it down, then I will do better in the rain. But honestly, like, the rain really gets to me, so I'm going to have to just slow it down, take my time, focus on every shot.
Is there any one hole in particular you're feeling excited or nervous about leading into tomorrow?
I'm excited and / nervous to go on hole 17 because last year, every round that I had, I was doing really well, and then I'd come to hole 17, and then I would double bogey. 3 out of the 4 rounds I double bogeyed. The only time I got on is I skipped off of the OB into the green. So I'm just excited / nervous to go play that today.
Is there anything about that hole 17 in particular? I'm just thinking about the walk from 16 to 17, and you have so much time to focus on what has been going well or not well for you as a competitor. How are you going to manage your expectations and just nerves as you make that walk?
I feel like last year I overthinked it a lot. I was thinking about, like, okay, if I throw this disc, I changed my disc like 4 times, I'm pretty sure, last time. I think I'm going to stick to my game plan, not think about too much, and step up on the tee and throw. Just walk the walk.
And last questions. You made headlines earlier in the year for the Dynamic Discs Open performance, and then again more recently at Music City Open for the shooting the hot round alongside Hailey King. So congratulations. How do you take to all the attention from the media?
I don't know. I'm still getting used to it. I'm not really good, I don't think, talking in front of people, but it's really exciting to go home and to see all of my friends and family say, I watched you on coverage, or, you know, it was so cool to see you out there, and I have so much support from home. So it's just great to know that no matter how bad I play or how good I play, they're still going to be rooting for me.
So it's all positive vibes for you heading into this week.
Yeah.
Great. Well, good luck this week.
Thank you.
Joining us now is our current world champion and a previous USDGC champion in James Conrad. And James, have all of your friends and all the other pundits broken down what it means and the potential this week for what you could possibly do, taking the USDGC title and the world's title in the same week or in the same year?
Yeah, I realize I'm the only one with that opportunity this year, so that's pretty cool. And I've proven in the past that I got what it takes to take it down out here, so really looking forward to the competition this week.
Speak a little bit to the class of people that you've already joined now, the fact that you are a world champion and a USDGC champion. There's so few that have done that. What is it about that class of competitors that we've seen over the last few decades out here?
I'm just honored to even be on that list, you know. It's in the history of our sport, I think I maybe am like the 6th person to win a title, both the U.S. and the world title. So to be able to accomplish that is a really great feeling, and it's just an awesome sense of accomplishment. It's people that I've looked up to since I was a kid on that list, like Ken and Barry, and then obviously more modern players that are still at the top, like Paul. And it's something special to be listed alongside those guys.
And since winning your world championships, not to bring down the vibe, but you've had a hard time finding the winner's circle again. Performing so well there in such dramatic fashion, but then coming back out, it seems like even the top 10 has been tough to crack. Does that speak to the competition? Are those nerves? Are those expectations you're putting on yourself? Why is that?
It's hard to say. I've definitely had a lot of highlights in the last couple months. I just haven't quite been able to focus throughout the entire events. I haven't quite been able to put it all together like I was able to back at Worlds, but it's not something that I'm worried about, you know. I can come out here this week, and I've been trying to mentally prepare this for the last couple weeks, prepare for this event in the last couple weeks, and get myself in the position I need to focus throughout the tournament and put on a good show.
James, Nate Perkins here. Winthrop Arena isn't necessarily the most physically demanding course as far as the distance and the shot shapes required. What is it about the arena that challenges you the most, and what are you working on to overcome that?
This can just be a very tough course mentally. Sometimes you think you throw a really nice shot and it comes up just shy or just long of inbounds. A lot of times that means rethrowing from the drop zone you're at, or it just brings in the potential of like double bogeys like quickly without really throwing a shot that feels bad. So I've been trying to plan ahead, you know. If that happens, I just want to not worry about it, not be like, oh man, that shot felt so good, I can't believe it's out of bounds. You know, none of those kind of emotions. Just make the adjustment. You know, maybe I didn't quite read the wind right, and that's why I came up short. Or try to look at it objectively as possible and not have a lot of feelings, or like tell myself, oh man, that was unlucky. Like no weird thoughts like that. No negative mind energy, you know, going out.
A lot of people are concerned about the forecast for the week. How do you feel like playing in wet conditions affects your chances?
I don't care to even look at the forecast. I think we'll get the conditions we get, and stressing about it ahead of the time won't help anybody. I think that this course plays challenging, and if the conditions get really tough, it obviously gets even more challenging, but at the same time it makes maybe a little bit of a safer game plan, and just playing to keep it in bounds and shoot near par, it makes that a really good round. So I'll have to keep that in mind if the conditions get bad.
So James, how are you handling returning to Rock Hill, an Innova event, throwing a new brand of plastic when you've been throwing Innova for virtually your whole career?
I wouldn't say that's had a big impact on me. You know, I'm still friendly with all the people at Innova that I see around the course, and I don't think about it like they're the enemy now or anything like that. You know, I respect Innova as a company, and I'm happy for the time I spent representing that company, but it's not like a weird energy coming back here as an MVP sponsored player.
So a lot of the holes out here at Winthrop change over the years, but a few of them stay the same. Hole 5 has been the same for several years. What are your thoughts on that hole, and how do you plan to attack it this year?
I really enjoy hole 5. It has quite a few ways that you can go about attacking for birdie, and without throwing a spectacular shot, birdie is not still that hard. You just have to kind of keep the disc in play, and the second shot is really important, setting yourself up for a shot over the water that's not too difficult. So I like to go pretty big off the tee, and then maybe putter or mid-range, or maybe even like a driver hyzer just to try to get myself in just the position I want to throw a putter across the water.
So we've got a question from the fans now. How has your day-to-day changed since winning the World's title in such a dramatic fashion?
I'd say it honestly hasn't changed too much. I felt a little busier this last half of the season. I've just been having, I guess, more people want some of my time and some of my attention, and whether that's on the disc golf course or on like online or people wanting interviews and anything like that. It's just been a little bit more people seeking my time, but as far as the way I'm living and other things like that, not too different.
So you're putting with the Nomad from MVP, a putter that you helped design yourself. Can you talk to us about what that process was like and how it's been flying for you lately?
Yeah, it was a really cool process. I felt fortunate to have the opportunity. I sat down with Chad at MVP and just really went into way more detail about a disc than I had ever really thought about before. Just the miniature differences in like the shoulder angle and the width of the plastic, like how thick it is in certain places, and all the different angles on the outside edge of the disc, and looking at those and the way they make the disc fly, and then also how they feel in your hand. So it was just able to really nail down what I was looking for out of a putter, and I think they really nailed it. I've been loving the Nomad this year. It's been so much fun to throw and putt with the disc that I helped design.
Hey, James. So it's been talked about a little bit already, but you've won 2 of the last 3 majors. Do you feel a different type of importance when you compete in these cornerstone events? You mentioned that you prepare a little bit differently, or at least did this year. Can you speak to how you think about it and what you might do to prepare for some of these bigger ones?
Yeah, I feel I've been able to just really get in the zone better at the bigger events over the last few years. I've had my moments at the Disc Golf Pro Tour events and such, but I feel like I've really been able to put all my energy, all my want, and all my focus really towards each shot, and to take it as seriously as possible. And I'm not even sure if it's possible to do that, throughout the whole year. But for me, it's just been something that I've been able to kind of tap into in the past. I've been able to have a lot of good finishes at majors, and I'm hoping to keep that rolling this year.
Absolutely. And just looking forward a little bit now, the Disc Golf Pro Tour did release the 2022 Elite Series schedule earlier this week. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
I did. It looks good.
Was there any big events that you're kind of looking forward to? As you look at the next year's schedule, is there any place you're looking forward to kind of going back to or just competing at?
Yeah, I guess this past stretch of the season, through the Northeast, I'm already looking forward to going back there. I didn't quite have the performances I would have liked, and those are some of my favorite courses to compete at. And I'm also really looking forward to March down in Texas. I've been having a good time down there the last few years, so that should be a good start to the season.
Awesome. And last question from me would be, off season's coming up. It's been a long season. Do you have any plans as you head into the off season, just to rest, recharge, reload? What are you looking forward to doing over the long winter?
Yeah, we don't have any really locked-in plans yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to having some time to go visit my family and my girlfriend Jordan, visit with her family as well throughout like Thanksgiving and Christmas. We don't get to see a lot of our family members too often throughout the year, so it should be good to get to wind down and enjoy some quality time within this winter.
Everyone, that's James Conrad. Best of luck to you this week.
Thanks, Terry.
And joining us now is Missy Gannon. And Missy, I want to talk a little bit about momentum. Over the last 2 months, you've been averaging fourth or better. Does your game feel that good?
Yeah, totally. I mean, every weekend is different, but as far as my confidence in my game overall, I just have to have a solid game plan and know exactly what I want to do and be able to make adjustments when necessary. And so to have that confidence in my overall game definitely helps in my performances.
At the two majors this year, we've seen you finish 4th and 8th. And although this doesn't have a major distinction per the PDGA, it still kind of feels like that, I'm thinking. How do you feel about it as you're approaching this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a title that I would love to have, and I think that the course sets up pretty nicely for myself. It would be awesome, and I think that it would feel kind of like a major title. So, I'm looking forward to trying to track that down.
And my last question is, as you get those feels and you're playing this course, you walk from 16 to 17. Some have called it one of the longest walks in disc golf. How will you mentally prepare and go about that hole?
Well, it's funny because actually after my practice round, during my practice round today, we were walking that walk. I was like, this is the walk. So I mean, like I was already thinking about it. But yeah, it's sort of one of those that time at the end of the round that you're just like, all right, what am I gonna do? So there's always the opportunity to lay up 17, which is an option, and I've practiced that, and it's gonna just come down to how I'm feeling and what the situation is.
Hey, Missy,
Hi.
Nate Perkins here. To say that 2021 was a breakout year for you would be an understatement. 3/5 of your total career earnings you've earned this season. What is it that clicked for you this year?
Well, first of all, I have to give a shout out to the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the whole tour itself for, having payouts that result in that kind of overall earnings. So, to have such good finishes this year and, finally put together a season that I think that I'm going to look back on and be like, wow, that was an amazing 2021. I think it just feels great, and it feels like I'm, haven't reached that ceiling yet. I still have some work to do, and I think that it's going to pay off in a big way.
So you're already known as one of the better putters on the tour, men or women. What specifically are you working on to get to that next level?
Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty much never my putting that I have a problem with or that lacks. I mean, every once in a while I might, miss an inside the circle putt, and, that happens. But overall, my putting is not what I'm worried about. So for me, it's just, I think, getting clean off the tee. I certainly have times where I'm just hitting all of my lines, and then there's times where I'm releasing a little bit strange and they're kind of going awry. So I think just dialing in my angles a little bit more, both forehand and backhand. I think that's what I'm focusing on the most.
Missy, is there any aspect of your game that you're relying on the most, though?
Putting, yeah. I mean, because it takes a lot of stress off of my upshots or my drives, depending on the hole. I don't necessarily have to be inside circle one and feel like I'm not going to be able to make that putt. So it definitely makes those situations a lot easier when I know that I'm pretty confident inside of 40 feet.
Well, you have had an excellent season this year. You've consistently finished inside the top 10, took down your first Elite Series event at Des Moines Challenge. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about your growth as a competitor in 2021? And is it hard to stay patient, or are you finding that you're just killing everything?
Yeah, I mean, it seems that when I have less expectations, I tend to really shine. I mean, it's easy to do well and then think that I need to, be top 5 every single tournament, and that's a lot of pressure, and that's unnecessary to think about that. You just really have to think about every single hole and just try to perform on that hole to the best of your ability. So trying to keep my expectations in check, even though I have had a pretty solid season, is one of the things that I need to remember and focus on.
Well, you carry such a joyful, laid-back energy at all times, but fans want to know what motivates you, what fires you up during a round or in preparation for a tournament. What fires me up is making that first big putt, whether that's a 25-footer or outside the circle or whatever. I think that's that gets me into that. All right, I'm gonna be good. So making a big putt is a huge momentum swing for me, and also making a mistake, honestly, and being like, that can't happen again. All right, next hole, we're going to just fix it and move on. So, I don't know. It's a bunch of different things, but mostly those two things. Well, hopefully that carries you through to another big win. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
And joining us now is Hailey King. And Hailey, this year, in the final year, we've now learned of the national tour, you took 4 out of 5 of those events. Talk about the momentum and what that's going to carry bringing you into this week.
I mean, it definitely feels good, and I feel confident. It showed me that I can push through what I'm currently going through at the time, so if I just keep doing that, I can play well and take the win.
Sometimes, even though you have really strong performances and finishes, sometimes it feels like you can be a little streaky throughout an event. Do you feel that? And if so, what do you do to combat that?
Yeah, a lot of the times, like if it's a 3-round event, like I'll play 2 good rounds or 2 decent rounds, and 1 round is just like really bad. I don't know, wake up and try to do the best I can. I don't know, it's hard to control, and just do more field work, practice, and try to get the consistency down. So,
well, and speaking of doing the best you can and the consistency, 17 out of the 18 events you've played in this year, you found yourself in the top 10, most of those in the top 4 or 5. Do you have any second guessing or doubts about where you are and how you solidified yourself as a top FPO contender?
Nah, I feel good with it.
As you should. Here's Nate Perkins.
Hailey, we've noticed that you've had caddies throughout the year. Do you have a caddy this week, and how does it affect you having a friend on the bag there with you to calm you down throughout the event?
Yeah, so my older sister Cassie is coming out, and she's going to be caddying for me, so that'll be a lot of fun. I think having a caddy that is a friend on the bag helps me a lot, because the caddy that I usually have, Lindsay Rodan, she watches me play disc golf 24/7, not just tournaments. So she's actually able to learn my bag, my shots, and like she is able to learn what annoys me on the course, and like, you know, specific phrases that she says that annoys me on the disc golf course in tournament but not in practice. So like having somebody that can understand how I play disc golf and like my mindset while I'm playing disc golf professionally, that is a really big key to success for me.
And speaking of your friend Lindsay, I heard a little bit that you might have purchased a van and are joining the Van Life Tour for 2022. What's that process been like for you?
It's actually been a lot of fun. Lindsay has helped me build it out. It's about halfway done, so this off season we'll finish it, and yeah, I'll be on the road next year with it.
Does the preparation for this week differ than any other events throughout the year?
I think yes, but no. I think yes because it's towards the end of the season, so generally I am feeling more prepared and more warmed up for disc golf as compared to the beginning of the year, where it's just like, okay, we just came from off season, how am I feeling, like what is working this time and stuff like that.
So we've noticed this year that you were able to kind of get off that Anheuser release angle that you've relied on in the past. What was it that allowed you to take that step, transition the field work into using that Heiser flip during a competition?
So Brian Earhart, I can thank him for this because I have always rolled my wrist. I still roll my wrist, something that I have a hard time getting away from. But he actually told me to throw like my Tour Series heat as if I were throwing a buzz. And I threw it just like a buzz, and I instantly, right then and there, I knew how to throw a Heiser flip. And it's just, I think that happened at Worlds this year, and I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. And I just was really confident right away with it.
Hi, Hailey. Hannah McBeth. How are the fairways at Winthrop treating you so far? Any surprises out there as opposed to last year?
No, everything looks great.
everything in your game feeling solid heading into this week? No injuries or anything wrong?
My back is still a little sore from last week, but I should be able to push through it. We won't know until the time comes.
We've talked to a lot of elite women, a lot of your peers, Paige Pierce, Missy Gannon, Macy Velediaz have already come through and done their interviews, and they've all talked about pacing. What pace are you going to choose to set out here at Winthrop this week? Or maybe get aggressive, be conservative on some holes?
So we have 4 rounds, and I'm personally going to split that up into 2 rounds matter, 2 rounds don't. So I know there's going to be holes that are going to cause trouble, and I'm going to just try to keep myself centered and just know that, like, this is going to happen. You're playing 4 rounds at Winthrop with crazy OB, so just try to push past it. And I honestly am going to be playing like a little safe. These OBs, if I throw as hard as I can, I will be reaching some of the OBs, so it's a lot of just hyzer bombs, so yeah.
Last year you were coming onto the property and looking to prove yourself. This year you've proven yourself, put in a lot of hard work off the course and practice and just learning about your mental capabilities and maturing there. What does that feel like? What does that growth feel like coming back a year later and driving onto the property?
It makes me feel really good, and it makes me really happy that I'm back here being with all the North Carolina people and South Carolina people. It feels really good.
A lot of disc golfers and fans, media, we all judge success by wins, but success for you could be really different. So I want to ask, what would a successful Throw Pink championship look like for Hailey King?
I honestly think this time the win will do it, especially with how I've been playing the last couple of weeks and how I've been feeling. I really want this win.
Hi, Hailey. So you've shot some historic rounds here at the end of the season, including an incredible 3rd round at Green Mountain Championships, yet you're still learning things about your game, like a hyzer flip. Do you feel like the sky's the limit for you, or how do you think about the future of your career in the sport?
I think I have learned quite a bit, but there's so much more that I still need to learn, so sky's definitely the limit.
Is there anything in particular that you can identify as, like, I could really learn this or work on this part of my game a little bit more? What are those things that you could work on to kind of take you to the next level?
I would say, like, properly throwing a backhand upshot, because how I mentioned earlier, I roll my wrist constantly, so it makes it very hard to throw a backhand upshot for me. So if I learn how to stop rolling my wrist, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the future and kind of looking ahead, it's been a busy news week. The Disc Golf Pro Tour announced a merger with the PDGA and kind of combining the tours to have one unified Pro Tour. Do you have any thoughts on that merger or about the future of the sport?
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think that's exactly where I wanted to see this go. So I'm really excited for next year and the years so on.
That's awesome. We also dropped the 2022 schedule, and is there anything that you're kind of circling on the calendar of this event I'm really excited for?
I mean, I think it's really like once we get back from Portland, every event after that, I'm just like, yeah, let's go. I'm super excited.
All right, everyone, that's Hailey King. We wish you the best of luck this week, and we'll see you on the fairway.
Thank you.
Joining us now is a 2-time world champion in Ricky Wysocki. And Rick, you're very Well, let's just say you're very hard on yourself sometimes, and you really self-analyze. Have you ever thought, how have I not won the USDGC title yet?
Definitely. I mean, yeah, it's something I've been so close to so many years. I think that I've got, like, I don't even know, like a handful of second place finishes or something close to that. So it's something that definitely is in my head, and something that I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself because just because of that reason. It's like I don't want to be known as getting second X amount of years in a row or whatever. So it's definitely a monkey I want to get off my back. It's one of the few tournaments I haven't really won, so it's something that, and it's one of the biggest in the sport. So I'm super excited for the opportunity this week.
Well, speaking of seconds, your last 4 stroke play events, you finished second. You've been the runner-up. And just before that, you had taken down the Preserve and Ledgestone, so you had back-to-back wins. That puts you with 6 finishes in the top 2 over the last 7 regular events. Everything firing for you? Is that momentum? What is that?
Yeah, I think it's momentum like I always speak of, but it's my game's feeling, my game's good, my form's great, and my putting's really good. So I think that's the most important thing is the final ingredient, which is putting. I'm putting really well. I'm making a lot of putts. I'm making some longer putts when I need to, and I feel like situationally that's where I feel like I set myself apart. Is situationally I can tell when a tournament is taking a step up, or I can feel when people are struggling. You really have to be able to sense blood in the water and strike when you know there's strokes to be had at a certain time in the tournament. So I think that's what I've gotten really good at, is keeping myself in contention, and then when I know there's a chance to strike, I do it, and I make a long putt or I throw a good drive. And so I think that I can really sense when you really have to step on the gas pedal in the tournament, and that's where I feel like I set myself apart.
And let's just say I'd have to fire myself if I didn't follow that up by saying, what happened at Music City? You had a very stressful putt to get into the playoff, and then you go to the playoff, and describe what happened there, because a lot of people would challenge you on saying making a high-pressure putt there.
Yeah, obviously I made a great putt on 17, like the 35, 40-footer. I was definitely pumped about that, just to stay pace and gain a stroke on Mason, who was playing really well. And then I hit like a nice 20-foot downhill putt on 18. And, I threw a bad drive on the first hole of the playoff, obviously, and, the putt just kind of slipped out of my hand. I mean, nobody's immune to pressure, and I feel like I perform better than most, but that doesn't mean I'm immune to it, and every time, there's going to be times where the pressure gets to you, and it just got to me, and I had a bad putt. But it's something where I know that, when you're good at something, it doesn't mean you're going to be doing it successfully every single time. It just means that I'm going to do it more successfully more times than the next guy. So it's all a law of averages, and I just happen to have a bad putt at the wrong time, and it's whatever. I'm moving on to the next week, and I have an opportunity this week to kind of make up for it. That's for sure.
Well, you've proven that you're human.
Yeah.
I think really what we can take away from that. But like you said, even in the most highly packed pressure situations, you have things like the walk from 16 to 17. We've seen dreams crushed. We've seen tournaments given away after that walk and their performance on the tee of 17. What are you thinking as you move from 16 to 17 at this course?
There's definitely the little bit of panic when you walk to 17. You're like, is there going to be a headwind? Is there a crosswind? Where do I want to land? What's pin position is it? So there's so much to think about, and I think that's what makes it so hard. Is that it's a hole that is short enough to where you should be able to be getting a birdie, and in the back of your head that there are people that are going to be birdieing it, so you kind of want to be aggressive. But it boils down to playing your game plan. I think that sometimes you can get wrapped up out here at Winthrop. Someone else in your car just threw a great shot. You want to follow it up and try and get a birdie, right? So if you stay true to yourself and true to your game plan, I think it pertains to this course more than any course on tour, because everyone's going to attack it a little bit differently. At the end of the day, you have to eliminate the big numbers and stay consistent on a course that is going to test you physically and mentally more than any course we have out on tour. As soon as you get nervous, as soon as you have that little bit of doubt, the OB, the water, every variable has a little bit of, if you're just a little bit off or get a little bit more skip than you did in your practice rounds, your OB. And next thing you know, you're having to get up and down from across the lake with the headwind, and then you got a 40-footer for par instead of that 30-footer for birdie, which is a whole different feeling. So it's, as soon as the tournament starts, there's those nerves, and it's nervy. Every shot is nervy, and your swing's got to be on point, and you got to be able to attack and know when to be aggressive, but also even the layups, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just laying up and be, lackadaisical with the layup. You have to throw a pinpoint, accurate, confident shot, even just a layup. So there's never a time where you can just settle in and say, oh, I'm just going to lay up and play for a lackadaisical par. No, it takes mental energy to get that par too.
Hey, Ricky. Nate Perkins here. We've noticed that you've been leaning away from the forehand more and more as your career goes on. Can you talk to us a little bit about why that is, and will you be bringing the forehand back this week?
Yeah, I think this course is one of the few courses, not few, but one of the definitely a course that you see a lot of sidearm players playing well, and you just hit a lot of the landing zones more consistently. There's a lot of shots that maybe fade away from the water or fade away from the OB, and give yourself a high percentage chance at birdie. But as far as the rest regular season, I still throw a lot of sidearms. I just feel like my backhand is really good right now. So it's something to where, if it's good, I'm going to take advantage of it. And so I still have that sidearm in my back pocket. I just feel like my backhand is good, really good, and I want to lean on it when I can. And sometimes I pick it a little bit more than I would in past events and past years. But it's just like anything. Your game's ever changing, and if you feel a little bit more confident with the backhand on a certain hole that you would maybe throw a sidearm, which is what people are noticing. It's just a confidence thing. And my backhand's I'm really confident with the backhand, so that's kind of the big reason.
Yeah, we've noticed a few players start to talk about changing their game a little bit. I'm thinking about Eagle McMahon throwing less forehands to kind of hope for a longer career. At this point in your career, have you started thinking about anything that is going to improve the length of your career?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as an athlete, you love what you do, and you want to do it for as long as you possibly can. And disc golf, the way it's growing, you want to be a part of it, and you want to be a face for the sport. So you gotta be healthy. And in order to be healthy, you got to stretch. You got to eat healthy. You got to, like you said, be cautious of maybe how many sidearms you're throwing if it hurts your elbow, or changing your form a little bit to maybe not throwing so far, but throwing more accurate and changing your form so it's not hurting your body. So it's something, yeah, and I totally see why Eagle's doing that. It's something where when you're younger, you can just fling and throw as many sidearms as you want, and you get older and you're like, all right, that's going to take its toll on you, and so I think sidearm's just a pretty violent motion. No matter, even if you have good form, it's a little bit more violent than a backhand. So yeah, I definitely think about that, and that's another factor that goes into why I choose to throw a little bit more backhands than sidearms sometimes.
Ricky Hayden with the PDGA. Big news this week as the DGPT becomes the official pro tour of the PDGA. In case you were wondering why I was asking about the NTs a lot a couple weeks ago. The National Tour laid the foundation. The Pro Tour is obviously built on it. What is the state of pro disc golf right now, and what's the future of pro disc golf?
I think it's amazing. I think that you could kind of see it coming for sure. But I think that the PDGA has done a ton to get the sport where it is right now. They're pretty much the reason why we're here and the reason why the Pro Tour is here. So I think that give a lot of credit to the PDGA for growing the professional side, and now I think it's the Pro Tour's time to take it that next step further. And I'm super excited for the standards that the Pro Tour's created on tour, for us to be able to go to these amazing venues, work with these amazing tournament directors and courses, and it's just super exciting to be a part of it and see the growth from 10 years ago when I played my first NT till now. It's crazy, and so I'm pumped to be a part of it, to be a face for the sport, and do my part to grow it as well as the PDGA and Pro Tour.
And speaking of that merger and kind of the transition here that we're in, I'm sure you know this, but you're the final national tour champion. Does that mean something to you?
Yeah, for sure. I think that was something halfway through the season. Once you kind of heard the rumor of the merger happening, I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. I've won the Player of the Year that the PDGA has before, Rookie of the Year. I've won the National Tour points, and it's just a sign of consistency. You look back and be like, a couple 5-10 years from down the road, you'll be like, oh, Ricky won the points title. He was the most consistent basically player. That's basically what it tracks is your finishes, week in and week out on the National Tour or the Pro Tour or whatever you're tracking. So I'm definitely pumped and honored to have earned that trophy, and it's something I don't think that we'll ever get a chance to have that trophy again because of the merger, but I'm definitely proud of myself.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it's validating to win it in the way that you did, being so consistent week in and week out. You mentioned earlier that you thought you'd finish second place at USDGC a handful of times. You've actually finished in the top 5 in your last 5 USDGC appearances. What is it about this event that motivates you to elevate your game year after year?
I think it's, the more you play this course, the more you realize, yeah, every hole is attackable and birdieable, but it's not what it's about. It's about forming a game plan that you can consistently play, whether it's windy, whether it's rainy. You got to have all the shots that are going to be thrown at you. The rain and the wind completely change how you attack a course like this. And situationally, I think that's what is so important about Winthrop is you gotta know when to be aggressive and when not to be, and it's easy to get stuck on being too aggressive or too cautious too, and playing for pars too much. And I think it's something where throughout the years I've just found the ingredient to have the right amount of aggressive shots and attacking some of the eagleable holes when I need to, and playing for par on some of the holes where if you're a fan, you're maybe like, why is he laying that up? But with the OB rules being so different out here at Winthrop as opposed to different courses, each hole has its own character, and you really have to have course management skills is the most important thing out here. It's not distance, it's not putting, it's not upshots. It's how you manage each and every shot and each and every hole. Obviously, you got to play well in each facet of your game, but course management is the name of the game out here.
All right, Ricky. Well, we know you're on your quest for the first USDGC title for yourself. Best of luck to you this week.
Thanks, guys.
And joining us now is Eagle McMahon. And Eagle, as of this point, you've played 17 events this year, and probably by the end of the year, it'll only be about 20 of them. We just talked to Ricky Wysocki about longevity. Is that something that you're consciously thinking about, and does that directly impact how many events you're going to play?
Absolutely. Looking at this year, my main intent was the Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series events, and I think I maybe played 2 other national tours, and then 1 or 2 C tiers that those are just like casual rounds essentially. But that's definitely something I look at, especially how I modeled my game. I throw very aggressive at times, whether it be forehand or backhand, and it can be very taxing on my body. So in the off time, I like to rest my body, and I like to go to the gym. So that might be a reason why I don't play quite as many events, but honestly, it still feels like I'm extremely busy every weekend. And the 17 events that I played, it's felt like my busiest year yet.
Well, and speaking of one of those, the other major that we saw this year, the World Championships, you finished in 8th there, and it feels as if maybe you put a lot of pressure on yourself. But talk us through what it would mean to pick up the only other major that we're going to see this year.
I mean, regardless, any major you're going to be excited to pick up, and it provides a different challenge just mentally, because really we're out here competing against the same players every week. So you could throw a major title on any other tournament and be pretty much exactly the same, but the fact of the matter is there's some prestige with the USDGC, with the World Championships, or whatever major there might be. So really it comes down to what player you're talking to and how they can overcome that challenge. So obviously it would definitely be a trophy I'd want on my mantle, but it's really about digesting it and boiling it down to one hole at a time.
Well, and my last question would be, you've been close, you've been in contention at this event, and I think back to a few years ago when the event was, of course, cut short, and all of those things that play into it. What do you have to overcome? I mean, I know you just kind of set the stage, but what do you, Eagle McMahon, what do you need to overcome to leave here a champion?
I think really it's the man in the mirror, because multiple times I've been at this course and coming down the stretch, or it's really the final round, or late in the 3rd round, that I've kind of had my issues. There's a lot of kind of suppressed trauma out here, whether it be back in 2016 where I took a 10 on the old 888, 2019 when I broke my hand, and then last year when I don't know, the rain gods came and poured us out on hole 7. So there's a lot of stuff that I kind of have to look at and see what's in my control. And for me, it's that final round and managing it.
Hey, Eagle, Nate Perkins here. That was my question as well. Is the memory of you breaking your hand here something that you feel like you have to overcome? And how do you feel like you've changed as a person coming back here a year later?
I've definitely changed a lot as a person, I'd say. I definitely self-reflect a lot more. I feel like I did prior to that, but it was kind of a wake-up call to take control of your actions. And I'm by no means perfect. I still get frustrated on the course. I think that's pretty natural because we're all human out here. But it's kind of what it really did for me was it shortened the amount of time I do feel frustrated. There's definitely days that are worse than others, but I can snap myself out of it a little bit quicker and kind of turn down the intensity of my frustrations. And I'm always trying to get better at it. That's kind of my goal as a disc golfer, to be as under control as I can and use my frustration as fire to push myself to new heights. But to 2019, I definitely feel like I've become a little bit more mindful and mature as a person.
What are the biggest challenges for you physically on the course?
Physically, it's mostly the endurance and making sure my sidearm feels good, because I'm throwing a lot of them out here. I'd say 60 to 70% of the tee shots I'm leaning on the forehand because it's very consistent, and most holes just are very good for that shape. So really making sure that the elbow, the shoulder feels good, and I haven't had any issues so far. Actually felt pretty healthy this entire year. So that's been a huge plus and has allowed me to perform up to the level I have been able to. But for this is just making sure I get my recovery in during the event.
Yeah, for a lot of the fans out there, when they think of Winthrop, they think of big forehands, and your name comes to mind. Do you feel like you have an advantage on the course?
It definitely can make certain holes a little less stressful, opposed to throwing a soft landing backhand shot, let's say hole 18 or hole 17, being able to just throw a consistent angle opposed to a touchy backhand anhyzer. That really helps, and you can kind of play a little bit more consistent if you put your mind to it.
And one last thing that I wanted to talk to you about. So this year we noticed a different change in the pace of your putt. For the inside the circle putts, you were hitting them hard, slightly nose up, but for the outside the circle putts, you actually slowed things down. Can you talk to us about that process and when you decided to implement the change in the pace of your putt?
Y'all are more analytical to my game than I am. I didn't even recognize. The only thing I can really say to that is I hate blowing past putts from long distance. So if I can just put a floaty run up there, that's great. I believe that you should do your best to hit the putts inside the circle, but as soon as you get outside the circle, it's pretty much all bonus. So if I cannot have any awkward comeback putts, that's going to strengthen my mental game. I'll just put it that way.
Hey, Eagle. So kind of looking ahead a little bit, it's been a really busy news week for the DGPT. One of the big announcements was the 2022 season schedule. You just mentioned earlier that you played 17 events this year. That schedule, I believe, has 20 on it. Are you planning on picking and choosing a few strategic events to miss for next year like you did this season?
I can't really comment on that right now, per se. I'm still in 2021, and I'd like to finish out the year before starting to plan, because with us disc golfers, we're natural planners, so seeing the schedule already has my brain scrambling to figure out where I'm going to be. So, I'm just trying to live in the moment, and I'm going to try to deal with all my scheduling come off-season.
Smart. Stay focused on where you're at now. Well, good luck, Eagle.
Everyone, again, that's Eagle McMahon. Best of luck to you this week.
Thanks.
Joining us now is Sarah Hokom. And Sarah, a little earlier today, we were discussing that this is the one-year anniversary of when we were really promoting and coming out with the Respect Her Game campaign. And to some degree, that even hindered you a little bit. You were literally running around giving away T-shirts to making sure that it was represented, and some of your practice time it was even sacrificed by that.
Oh, for sure, yes. I mean, that's just part of, I mean, I love to, advocate for stuff I'm passionate about, for sure. That's like, it brings me a lot of joy. But also with that joy comes burden. And, so I definitely missed a couple practice rounds and was focused on making sure that everything was prepared for that, along with my team of other people who are helping with that as well. Sarah, Katrina, Vanessa, there's quite a few of us on that group. So shout out to all of them. But Jessica Lusky too. Excuse me.
So let's jump ahead. Here we are a year later. Of course, a huge splash at that time. Do you feel like we're continuing to make progress? Do you feel like the momentum is carrying? And if so, or if not, how can we keep it going?
Yeah, I really feel like, people can refer to that website and get kind of the gist of what we're going for. And I feel like the chat board has remained active, and we're problem solving and finding ways to make sure that everyone has a safe place to play.
Well, and speaking of problem solving, you're one of the biggest advocates and proponents of making sure that the courses are appropriate to the FPO or any women's division that's out there competing on any given course. How does this course set up for you? Have you had feedback, and how does it set up?
Yeah, originally on the course design last year, the course designer contacted several of us to give feedback, and I think he really put together a really good design, and he tweaked it a little bit this year, and I think there were some really good changes made. Definitely the changes on 9 and 10 are 9, 10, and 11 are really, really good, set up better to give better risk reward and, offer some difficult shots that also separate the field in good ways that also still offers birdies to most of the field.
And speaking of separating the field, do you look at a hole that's just beyond us right now where we are? Hole number 5, roughly 1,000 feet, requires a number of different shots. What are you thinking as you're either playing it or you're stepping up to hole number 5? How are you attacking that hole?
I'm throwing a conservative shot off the tee, and then I'm laying up, and then I'm throwing over the water on the 3rd. So that's the most drastic shot, the most difficult shot over the water. But as a sidearm player, that's the choice I get to make. I could go around the outside as well. So that option is offered for the FPO division, and I think that that's a great option. Most of the time you can only get a par from there, but it offers a par from there. If you go over the water on the 3rd, you can get the birdie like I'm choosing to go for, and then if you can get weight on the fairway off the tee, there's even an eagle opportunity for some of our distance throwers. So that's a good sign of a great hole.
And my final question for you is just a little bit about the momentum and what you're bringing into it. We found you on the podium 6 out of the last 7 events that you've played in. You haven't quite been in the winner's circle, but you're on the podium. What does that say about your consistency and where your game is right now?
I'm feeling really good. As the season has drawn to a close, I've been able to make some improvements in certain, just minor improvements that have, just the little extra thing that you need on the course to get those extra strokes. So I think just a matter of a couple strokes here and there and making some minor changes.
Hey, Sarah, Nate Perkins here. This is your 13th year touring. That's nothing short of inspiring.
Lucky number.
Can you share with us what motivates you to keep traveling around competing?
It's a combination of things. It's the community of people, probably first and foremost, and then the game itself, the fact that it's almost unmasterable. Depending on, even if you have all the skills, you still have to keep your mind in check, and that's never the same. It's always a different strategy to find to get through whatever you're going through. So yeah, I mean, it's just the unmasterable game, And then also I will say, as the Pro Tour has made improvements and the purses are going up and the spectators are going up, the exposure's going up, I'm just trying to hold on to see how long I can do this.
And how long do you think you can do
I don't know. We're gonna see.
But speaking of mastery, you are truly a master of all angles with the forehand. We've noticed that you've been working on the backhand in the last couple seasons. What specifically are you working on, and do you plan to implement any of the backhand shots this week?
Specifically, I'm really just trying to keep my angle and trajectory in check and keep my rhythm and timing on the backhand. I have not really tried to put a lot of power behind it yet. So far when I try that, it doesn't really go very well. So over the off season, I hope to figure out how to dial some of the power in, but really just trying to hit the angle and trajectory and just hope for the best. And I am throwing it out here on the beach hole and off of 13's tee. And then, of course, for like shorter approaches, anytime inside like 130 or 150 maybe, I do prefer a backhand upshot. So.
Hi, Sarah. Hannah McBeth here. Are you feeling pleased with your preparation at Winthrop so far?
Yes, I am. Although I did play hole 10 wrong twice because I thought we were playing the old tee. So whoops. So guys, ladies out there, if you haven't, make sure you're practicing the right tee on that hole. Hope nobody steps up with the surprise I did yesterday.
Other than a couple miscommunication issues, what is it about Winthrop that makes competition so challenging here?
I think it's that the course is pretty neutral. You know, I really think that it does shape well for both backhand and sidearm and forces both shots for players that don't have all of them. And then the fact that you don't have to really throw really difficult shots. You're not asked to flex things through tight gaps in the woods, and you can throw pretty much, power hyzers at a lot of shots as long as you can control distance. But just keeping it in the ropes, like you step up to throw these very simple shots, but all of a sudden it feels much more difficult than it ever has, just because the ropes are so tight and then the prestige of the event. So yeah, it's weird how nerve-wracking easy shots can be out on this track.
You have involved yourself in a number of initiatives in an effort to grow the women's side of the game. You and Terry talked about it literally minutes ago. What does it mean to you to see a championship here like this created and run along the USDGC in the name of Throw Pink?
I mean, Throw Pink is a great organization. Sarah Nicholson over there is just doing wonderful things to promote women and girls playing sports in general. And so, I mean, it really just is a testament to the progress we're seeing. I've always wanted a women's side to be part of this event, and the fact that it's now finally happened is a testament to all the women that came before and are continuing to push for a better disc golf for everyone.
Couldn't say it any better ourselves. Sarah, we wish you the best of luck this week.
Thanks.
And joining us now is last year's runner-up at the USDGC and Calvin Heimburg. Calvin, last year, of course, chaotic, crazy. The run you made, good friend Chris Dickerson, he talked about it a little bit earlier. What do you take from that and that experience last year? And do you reflect on that at all as you return this year?
Not really. It doesn't really have any bearing on what I want to do this year, so I'm just going out and attacking the course the way I want to. And it's mostly the same as last year, but a couple minor changes, and yeah, I feel pretty good about the course.
Do you have any difference in confidence, we'll say, in terms of what you've accomplished this year, as even when we look back at last year and the national tour titles you've taken down? I look at you were co-champion at the Ledgestone, you took down the match play, and then the only other victory you carded this year was at a Silver Series event. You haven't found yourself at the Elite Series taking down all the biggest names otherwise. Is there anything in your game that's missing?
I don't know if I'd say there's anything missing. It's just not everything's come together at the right time. You have to perform at an extremely high level, and everything has to be clicking in order to win an event. And that hasn't happened as many times as I would have liked this year, but I've definitely been up there in contention multiple times, just haven't been able to close it out.
A lot of people will talk about hole number 5 and the challenges that it presents, because players can choose just how aggressive they want to be in going after maybe even that elusive eagle. What is it for you when you walk up to hole 5 and how you're going to attack it?
I don't see myself going for eagle at any point this week on hole 5. It's just kind of pitch a pretty conservative flick out there, then throw it, a mid-range maybe, and then go for the green. So I don't think I'm doing anything extremely aggressive there. I'm just feel pretty comfortable with the 3 shots I want to throw to get to the green, and I think birdie will be plenty fine.
Hey Calvin, Nate Perkins here. Your final round in the rain last year was shaping up to be one of the most memorable comebacks we've ever seen. I was actually standing behind hole 10 when you parked it in the heaviest part of the rain. What is it about your game that allows you to still shape shots up to 450 feet in a torrential downpour?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of it when you're playing in the rain, really, you can play the same game. It's just you have to be a little bit quicker with everything, and just make sure everything's dry. So as long as you just are in your head, you know what you want to do, and just get everything dry, and then kind of get up to the tee pad quick and execute, you can still execute the same shot. So it's just you can't quite do it at the normal leisure pace that we're used to. But I don't think I have any distinct advantage in the rain. It's just I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do, and there really was nothing to hold back. I mean, I went into the round 10 strokes back, so I was going for everything, and I knew what I wanted to do, and that made it pretty easy just to run up there and do it.
So with the forecast showing rain this week, does your preparation change in any way?
No preparation changes. Just came out here, figured out the shots that I wanted to throw. I mean, there are times if it's really bad out here that you might, attack a hole a little differently. You might be a little more conservative on some of the par 4s, but no change in practice, and most of the time game plan changes for me happen, while I'm on the course. It's not something I come into the round thinking about, because everything changes hole to hole.
Can you talk to us about your thought process behind taking the NT finale off?
This year I had some personal things to deal with, so it just wasn't in the books to make it out there. So hung out here on the East Coast and got a little bit of extra practice for this event while I was sorting everything out. But it wasn't in the plans. It just kind of things shaped up that way.
All right, so you're walking to hole 17 with a 2-stroke lead. What's your game plan?
Just put it on the island. That's all you really got to do. Easier said than done, but that's all you have to do.
You throwing forehand?
Yep, forehand.
All right, Calvin, thanks for joining us today. Best of luck to you this week.
Thank you.
Joining us now is Heather Young. And Heather, last year you finished in third place here. Of course, I think you're trying to improve upon that, but that's a pretty tall task. What are you going to need to do out here to get into first?
I think out here it's just stay in bounds. I think if I play my game, stay in bounds, and putt well, I think this is an event I definitely could win.
What is it about this course? I know you just said staying in bounds is key, but what specifically, how does it align with your game where you feel that kind of confidence?
I mean, my game is keeping it in the middle, but I think this event plays to my strengths partly because if I play my game and everybody that can throw really far is aggressive, it's punishing if you're not truly hitting your lines when you're throwing that far. So it
so you're
sounds
wait
bad,
for others
but
to
I'm
make
waiting
mistakes.
for others to make mistakes, and I want to play well during that.
That makes perfect sense. That is a very good approach to it. Also, some have claimed throughout the years that being left-handed can be favorable on this course. So we'll ask you directly, do you feel like the layout favors you?
I think it's definitely more even than most other courses we played. Like, I don't think I would say it's lefty-friendly, but there's many more holes that favor a lefty than most courses.
And as of this point this year, you've already doubled your career earnings from last year, and you still have a couple of big events to play in. Do you consider this year a success already?
Honestly, not really. I haven't placed as well at a lot of the events as I was hoping to going into this year, but already having more career earnings when I'm not feeling like I'm playing as well shows how much the sport is growing and that it's a good place to be right now.
And it also shows how good and consistent you are. So my last question goes back to being left-handed and how the hole is set up. Hole number 17, a lot of people say they step up to it and they're just playing to the fat side of the green, the big wide open area way off to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you're doing with a lefty backhand?
If the basket's in the left position really close to the wall, I'm definitely just bailing out because it's like I'm not going to be that aggressive. If it's the one that's further towards the center, I don't bail quite as far if I can help it because it's an easier birdie. But in that one, if I'm in a good spot, I can actually make the putt. It's silly to run a 40-footer at the basket right next to the hay bales.
Hey, Heather, Nate Perkins here. And speaking of running putts, running dangerous putts, I'm looking over here at the green of 18, and I recall you hitting that death putt on 18 to secure that podium finish. Can you talk to us a little bit how you developed that killer instinct on the putting green?
Honestly, it's kind of funny. I think I didn't do anything specific early on, but I think the biggest thing that's helped me with putting is, since I'm not one of the furthest throwers yet, putting's a good way to make up a lot of strokes. So it's kind of just been natural that that's a requirement to be playing at a high level. So there's always that pressure that I need to be making everything.
So you've mentioned that you're not the furthest thrower on the tour. Is that something that you are able to work on during the season? And if not, do you plan to try and change that this offseason?
There are little things I can work on with during the season, but when you're playing events every weekend, it's dangerous to change your form during the middle of the season. I definitely have things to work on this off season, and that's the biggest goal, is to improve my distance.
Hi, Heather. Hannah McBeth here. We've seen you on coverage so much this year, and you seem so confident and calm in these big pressure moments. Is that true, and where does that confidence come from?
I feel like I'm pretty confident whenever I'm playing. I think a lot of it is just that I am generally relatively calm under pressure anyway, and then I enjoy being on camera. So I kind of look at it as a chance to show off when I do something well, because it's like if you do it badly, nobody really cares. But if you do it well, people remember it. So that's good incentive.
Well, you've made a name for yourself, certainly on the course as a strong competitor. Is there anything you've been doing off the course that has helped you? I know you talked about that a little bit, but...
I don't know that there's anything specific. I think the biggest thing probably is just as I've gotten to know more and more of the players on the tour, just talking with them, people with more experience. You learn things when you talk with them, ask questions.
And speaking of experience, Winthrop is a famous disc golf course.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel driving onto the property in preparation for the championship?
It's pretty amazing. This is one of the coolest places to be for the whole tour. It is funny, though, talking to so many people that they're like, they've played here for some of them longer than I've been alive, and then everybody longer than I've been playing. So it's just funny hearing that. Like, this is only my second year here.
Well, your season is wrapping up. How are you feeling about your growth as a competitor in 2021?
I feel like I've gained more experience. I feel like, again, I didn't play as well this year as I wanted to, but I feel like I have a lot of things to take away from this year to continue growing my game and improving.
Are you finding that it's hard for you to stay patient?
Kind of. I don't know. I always want to win. I think I actually need to be less patient. Like, I'm sometimes too okay with where I finish, and I need to be more frustrated when I don't play well. But, I don't know. That's, again, when you're playing events every weekend, you can't just be mad all the time or you're never going to improve.
Well, you might be one of the newer kids on the block, but we wish you the best of luck this weekend and enjoy your experience here at Winthrop University.
Thank you.
Joining us now is our 2017 USDGC champion in Nate Sexton. And Nate, more now than ever, you're wearing a ton of different hats. Of course, husband and dad, those have been for a few years. But post-production, live production, how are you even deciding where you're going and what you're doing week in and week out?
Oh, man, I try to take the opportunities that present themselves for sure and try to stay busy despite, the pandemic that's been bugging all of us for quite a while now. So I've been thankful for the opportunity to do a little bit of live, and obviously when I'm out and have the opportunity to work with Jomez, that's great, and working with DGN has been fun, and clearly my preference is to play when possible, so I'm excited to be here doing just that.
Well, and speaking of that, you've got 12 events in so far this year, and as you're gearing up for this one, are there things you're doing at home to keep yourself practiced and prepped, and are you just warming up when you're winning B tiers over the last few weekends? What are you doing?
Basically, I played 2 B tiers, 0 practice rounds because I didn't have time for any practice rounds. So I almost was like the tournaments were for that, to allow me to set aside the time to be out on the course and play competitive disc golf against great players. And that was what I was doing, playing against some of the better players in my area, some really good, young, talented players, and just kind of get my discs figured out. But yeah, it's been tough. I mean, my wife's schedule is crazy. So I'm Friday she's not home until 6 or 7 at night. So practice round is tough, especially the tournaments I played. One was on a ski hill where you got to take a gondola up, and the other one's on a ball golf course that doesn't want little kids. So it's like, I don't even have the option to bring Coraline with me and practice in those situations.
So those are some of the physical things in terms of limiting your actual practice, but how do you show up on this property with confidence and the knowledge or the background, knowing that you can come and show up and compete with the absolute best in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it a long time, I guess, is what I keep telling myself. Yeah, I know the shots. This course hasn't changed much, so it's just about committing to what I want to do, and really it comes down to just being confident in making those 30-foot putts. If you can do that, you're going to be competitive, I think, out here if you have a good game plan. So yeah, I just try to do what I always do.
Hey, Nate Perkins here. By your standards, you had some poor performances this year, but then you had your best performance at Worlds, taking 3rd place.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about what that podium finish meant to you and how you were able to make it happen with seemingly no momentum?
Yeah, I don't know how I did it exactly, but I was really proud. It meant a lot to me because I was frustrated with myself, just not really having the practice time and not having the reps out on tour, to where I did have a couple, I cashed at least, but I had a couple like mid-30s type performances, maybe even in the 40s at Portland on that super long course. And then I peppered in a couple decent finishes, but clearly, yeah, that was my best World Championships. I really did feel I had a chance to win, even with about 5 or 6 holes to go. I still was like looking at scores and thinking, man, this is possible, and that had never happened to me before at the World. So I don't know exactly what happened. The courses suited me well enough, and I was making those all-important putts that I was talking about. And yeah, once you get rolling, I've been in these big situations plenty of times, so it's like once I can get myself there, the competitive juices start flowing, and then hopefully you can stay up there. And other times I think I'll play bad, and I'm doing my best to focus and claw my way back, but I think sometimes I can be guilty of kind of, getting frustrated, checking out a little bit, even though I try not to do that. But when you're not up there near the front, it's like, you can just kind of get down on yourself and lose a little bit of interest in pushing as hard as you possibly can.
So do you feel like that performance at Worlds can translate to here? You've played a couple B tiers, but you haven't been on the tour for a couple months now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you still have stake in this event with so many competitors who have been on the tour recently?
Yeah, sure. I know that I can shoot double digits on this course, no question. So it's a matter of how many times can I do it. Maybe 4. If I do that, I think that'll be enough. So I'm not really that worried about anybody else. I know it's kind of cliche, but I'm just out here trying to put the disc in bounds, make as many birdies as possible, avoid those big numbers that everyone's trying to avoid. But there's no question in my mind that I can go double digits under here, and that's proven to be enough to hoist the trophy more often than not.
Yeah, can you share with us a little bit about the tough decisions that you've had to make recently to not play on the tour?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you continue. Was there more of the question, or we?
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you. You mentioned that you see yourself as a player first. Do you feel like you are taking a step back in 2022 and moving forward, or do you plan to tour more and player first?
I would say player first. I mean, I'm hopeful as anybody that we will be able to continue to see these case numbers go down. When my daughter is approved for a vaccine, that'll take a lot of weight off of my mind. She doesn't go to daycare at the moment just because obviously none of those kids can be vaccinated, and then you're introducing a pretty huge web of people when you start to think about 50 kids and all the people they see and all the people they see. So that's my challenge right now. It's not that I'm that worried about myself out here with a vaccine and being careful. That doesn't scare me that much. It's the idea that I could bring something back to my daughter at home. So it's about how much can I rely on my mom and my wife's parents to be up at Washington 3.5 hours from their home. My mom is there now for something like 17 straight days to allow me to be here and then allow me to do the commentary for the DGPT finals from Bend when I get back. So she's been fantastic. All the grandparents, all my parents and my wife's parents have been. That's the only reason I've been able to be out here at all, because my wife's schedule as a resident physician is crazy. I've said that in every press conference, as you guys know. It's like, 60, 70 hours a week often. So it's like there's not really any wiggle room there for me to be able to just be out here, So it's been hard, but it's just kind of a better safe than sorry approach. And I know not everybody would play it that way, but hey, man, it's safe, and that's how I do things, and you can go ahead and get used to it.
Nate Hayden with the PDGA. How would you assess the state of disc golf right now as a whole?
Man, it's on fire. I feel like for about 15 straight years, everybody kept asking me, where do you think this game's going? When's it going to blow up? And I'd always go, slow your roll. We're growing fine. We're never going to have this blow up moment. But I think we had it. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know how this COVID thing blew up our game. I don't think any of us saw that coming, but unquestionably it's happened. I hope we can keep that momentum. I hope there's not a pullback after this, because clearly we've added tons of recreational players, and disc sales are through the roof across the board everywhere. Do those people continue to play disc golf once their total normal life is available to them again, or are they hooked and they stay with us and disc golf continues to grow at this kind of pace? I mean, that's not sustainable. Obviously, it can't grow like this forever, but it has exploded. The state of the game is at an all-time high, in my opinion. I mean, everything is getting so professional. The money is getting to a level that it's never even been, that I never thought I would even really see during my playing career. So, fantastic, I guess, in a word.
Nice. A little more specific, big news this past week as the DGPT becomes the official pro tour of the PDGA. What does that do for the pro game, and what does that say about the state of the pro game right now in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it simplifies everything for everybody. It simplifies things for the fans. It simplifies things for the players. Has a more established set of standards, and the same people are in charge week in and week out. So I think it'll be a positive change to have all those elite series under one roof. And I think the Pro Tour has continued to improve and show that they're a player-first sort of operation in the way they prep the courses. I mean, we've never seen it like this before in my career, where you could come in and know that there's going to be the flagging where it is. It wasn't that long ago that there was only 10 or 20 PDGA events in the world on a given weekend. When I started playing, I was just looking at this the other night, going back to the beginning of my playing days, and you could go to the PDGA webpage and there'd be like 8 PDGA tournaments in a week in the world. And now there's like 8 in every state every week. It's like you're scrolling to find that tournament you're playing. You're filling, you could see multiple weeks in one computer screen. So I think that kind of stuff is great, that everything's growing, the pro game especially, and I think it all can kind of follow that growth. So I think it's positive.
All right, Nate, one final question for you. When you get late into the round, of course, you're walking from 16 to 17. Some would say a person like yourself so comfortable with the forehand. You can play to the wide part of the green. What are you still thinking about when you're walking from 16 over to 17?
Oh man, just throw this thing firm. I think about my aim point, and I want to just throw a Firebird pretty firm. Obviously, you don't crush it, but you can't fluff it either. Firm is the perfect word for my arm. I just have to kind of pop it, hit that aim point, and I want birdies too. So I can't play so right unless it's really windy or something. I would like to put it central in the green and have an opportunity to run a birdie putt at either position, ideally.
I thought you'd be thinking about your next Firebird sale, but firm sounds like a good word as well. Everyone, that's our 2017 USDGC champion, Nate Sexton. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
Joining us now is our 5th place finisher from last year here at the event, Ohn Scoggins. And Ohn, you've won a world title this year. You've had a pretty good year overall, and yet you're competitive every week in the FPO division. How do you do it?
Well, you know what? Energy, right? Pump up. I mean, you know, I see the girl out there, they play every week, they practice hard. And I talk with myself, hey, you know what? I have to do the same. I would love to do the same as they do, even is every week tournament. And I just like, why not? You know, because I love to do what they do also, and I just compare myself with them, and that's how it's pumped me up to have energy to play every week, so or every month.
Well, it was just a couple of years ago you took the giant leap and went onto the tour full time. Mm-hmm. How much are you loving it?
I just find out myself. The more I play, the more I love. I didn't know it. This much I love, you know, until last year I jumped and I toured whole year, and I thought with myself, oh shoot, I love more than I think, and why not? You know what? This is like amazing job you can have. You working, you make some money, you see a lot of state, a lot of beautiful stuff. I mean, I have a lot of friends who like have so many different jobs, and I tell them what I do. They're just like so jealous. I'm like, okay, I guess I have a great job. So.
Well, you speak of all the beautiful things you get to see. Talk a little bit about this course and how it sets up for you. Is there any place where you feel like this course really challenges your game, or something that you need to improve upon?
You know, I think hole 18. I always have a problem with hole 18. And I think this year, the setup course, I like it. I like it more last year. I feel like it's easier, or maybe it's just in my mind, I don't know. But I feel like it's more easier, especially like even hole 1. Last year, I know it's like set up for my sidearm, but even me, I have a hard time to park that hole. But I feel like this hole, I practiced just today, and I can throw it just mid-range. And I have, if I throw like 4 mid-range, I park it 3 times. So I feel like, oh, it's easier. And then some hole, what's that, hole 8, hole 9, hole 10, something, like they have that thing on. It's easier. Because I remember last year I have just only that hole I have triple bogey. But this year I can make 3 easier. I think this year is very good chain, and people are going to love it. And this court is matched with both. You have sidearm and backhand. It's not just only sidearm court. It's also like, it's not just only backhand court. So you have to have both a little bit here and there. So we'll see this weekend.
Hi, Ohn. Hannah McBeth here. Meteorologists are calling for rain. You're a SoCal girl from LA. How are you feeling about the weather for this week?
No, really?
Yes.
Oh, man, you know what? What can I do? So maybe try to bring a lot of towel, and then maybe some jacket, and then stay. Well, I mean, just gonna get wet. Everybody gonna get wet, right? So just who gonna deal with the rain? And then who have more experience with the rain is gonna take very good score tomorrow. I want to see who's going to be that person.
Well, you seem really confident in yourself, and this is another big Innova event, and I know they're your sponsor.
Yes.
Is there any more pressure from that?
No, Innova, they're so chill on me. They know what I'm doing. They're just like, up to you, because they know I'll be absolutely give my best to every tournament. After the round, they know me. I go practice. I working hard, so it's nothing else for me to like get pressure from them, because they know I tried the best I can. Yeah, they're proud of me. So.
Ohn, anything you want to share with everyone in terms of the experiences that you've had over this last year and a half of taking to the tour? I know you said that some of your friends are jealous or you get to have all those experiences, but is there anything you want to share with someone that's maybe thinking, wow, maybe should I go on tour? Is this for me? Is there anything you'd like to say to any younger men or women that are out there thinking about it?
Yes, of course. I absolutely want to tell them to try the best, just give it a try. Go to the course, practice, because I know 100% everybody know disc golf is going to be next level of making money for men and women. Even you start, the more young you start, the more money you're going to get. I mean, why not? And then it's easy. It's not that easy job. It's fun job. Fun job. You're traveling, you make money, and you're going to make more money in the future. So I would love men and lady go out there and try to get into this sport, because I know it's going to be boom, and it's going to be good money.
All right, wise words from Ohn Scoggins. Best of luck to you this week.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Joining us now is Kevin Jones. And Kevin, just going to lead with, are you fully prepped? You ready to go for this course and what it has to offer?
I'm 100% prepared, ready to go.
Some would say that a forehand is an extra special tool out on this course. We've had a lot of players say how this course feels a little bit more even in terms of a forehander versus a backhander course. Do you feel the same? And is there any places where a solid forehand is going to give you an advantage?
One of the things I pretty much hear almost every year when we play this tournament is the lefty sidearm or lefty or the sidearm championships. So yeah, it's a huge advantage to have a sidearm or be left-handed out here.
However, we haven't seen lefties take it down. So what does that say?
Well, there's just way less of them, I suppose. So
it's just a percentage game. The 5% haven't come through yet.
Likely.
All right. Here's Nate Perkins.
Hey, Kev, I got a couple questions from the fans for you, actually.
Sweet.
How do you decide which foot to jump with on a jump putt? They've seen both.
That's a really good question. I like this. I always try to land on my left foot. It's just the most natural thing, but sometimes when I'm a little bit outside of my comfortable jump putting distance, my momentum just brings my right foot down. So I'm actually not trying to land on my right foot. It's almost always trying to land on my left.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Second question, how many grenades this week?
Depends on how much trouble I find or how out of position I am. The only time I've ever thrown a grenade out here that I can remember is on hole 5 on that third shot. But that was when it was in the right position, which I don't think we're playing this year. I could go grenade though. It's going to be a feeling thing. I doubt it's very possible that I have no grenades this week.
Word is that you are a new resident of Charlotte. How was the home buying process, and would you consider Winthrop one of your home courses now?
Yeah, it definitely is going to be one of my home courses. I'm not sure how often it's open, and it's way more fun to play when it's roped up, but still being able to end the season in this area is going to be really nice. The home buying process was good, though. I had a nice realtor from Charlotte. His name was Stephen Macon. Yeah. But he was really helpful for me. Went out and visited some properties while I was still on tour, and we got it to where I'll be able to close around the tour championship.
And the word is that you're performing on Wednesday with DJ Heck Yeah. Can you talk to us about what that's like and share a little bit about that process?
I would love to talk about that, Nate. Well, yeah, I'm playing with DJ Heck Yeah on Wednesday after the rounds finish. As it gets dark, I'm going to play a set including pretty much only my music that I've created. A lot of disc golf influenced songs you will be hearing. I'm really excited for it. One crazy thing that actually just happened to me, though, in making this process a lot more difficult is my laptop decided not to turn on 2 days ago. And I take it to the Apple store and they tell me, you're going to lose everything on your laptop. So I'm losing all of my projects that I've made, as well as my pictures. And it's just like, what the heck? But really bad news. But fortunately, I've emailed out all these tracks that I've pretty much finished. So I'll at least be able to have them as is, but I won't be able to open up the project.
Not sure if Terry's had the chance to hear his song, but Terry, I hope you're there for the performance.
He has.
DJ Jump Putt Jones and DJ Heck Yeah. Kev, how does the U.S. title compare to the world title or the Disc Golf Pro Tour title?
For me, it's the equivalent of the world title, with the Pro Tour Championship being under that just because of the format. But for everybody else, it's Worlds, then USDGC, then the Pro Tour Championship. But for me, it's a major championship, and it would mean the equal amount for me to win this tournament as it would the World Championships.
What's the biggest challenge for you here at the Winthrop Arena? Anything that you were working on throughout the week that you're focused on specifically with your game?
No, I added a FX2 to my bag, so that's something new that we're going to be seeing. But I feel really good with that disc. I feel pretty confident that I'm throwing it straight almost every time I use it. So look forward to seeing that fly this week. But as far as like things that I need to work on, there's nothing out there. I have every shot that this course asks for. It's just a matter of executing that shot when the time comes. I'm going to mess up a lot of shots and I'm going to go out of bounds. I'm going to have to take bogeys because that's how this course plays. But I have to answer with birdies, and so that's what is the most important thing is when you string together bogeys out here, it makes it really hard to play well.
To kind of follow up on that, Kevin, so you kind of mentioned that it sounds like you're going to play aggressive, and if you bogey, try and follow up with birdies. It does look like there's a little bit of rain in the forecast. Does the game plan change if we get some inclement weather, or still planning on being aggressive?
Well, the thing about inclement weather is it just makes your birdies more important. So whenever you're playing good in the rain, it raises your confidence because you're actually playing really good. So for me, somebody who's got 4 years of tour experience, rain is good news. Rain means that other people are going to be freaking out in the fairways while I am going to be a little bit more calm and understanding of everybody's struggling right now. So I think experience will help there for sure.
You expect to see the more experienced players probably rise to the top if we do end up getting some rain.
Yeah, or the ones that just don't think.
Fair enough. Kind of transitioning and looking towards the future a little bit, it was a really busy news week for the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Yeah.
We announced a merger with the PDGA and also dropped the 2022 schedule. Just curious if you had any thoughts on either of those big announcements.
I'm really excited and thankful that the Disc Golf Pro Tour is doing what they're doing. It's obvious this year which events had their standards held to a higher point. It was obvious all year long as well as in past years. And it's really nice that we have somebody like the Disc Golf Pro Tour that's going out there, raising the bar every time, with the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship offering $30,000 this year. I've heard some crazy talks about and rumors about next year. Just very thankful. It's time that this happened, and we couldn't be in better hands as far as I'm concerned.
That's awesome. I got one more for you. Do you find any similarities between DJing and disc golfing, or are they like completely different disciplines for you?
I think it's totally different. I think it describes me really well because I just feel like all my hobbies are really random. Like I play disc golf, I like to make music, I like to go to concerts, and I speak Spanish, and I like Spanish music. And it's just like a bunch of random things. So I think that's the only thing that I have to say about it. It's just totally random, I'd say. So no, I wouldn't say there's much in common at all.
All right, Kevin, I've got one final question to follow that up then is, what is the most unique or random thing about you? I know you just mentioned all those interests, but give us one more that we haven't heard before.
Man, I used the Spanish one. That's so unique and interesting that I speak Spanish. But the other thing is I speak Spanish because I lived in Nicaragua for 4 months in 2017. So right before I started touring, I came from Nicaragua from 4 months, living with a family and awesome experiences, driving a motorcycle to my work. I was teaching English for like 10-year-olds to 30-year-olds, even older.
Wow. Well, with that, I have to ask you, can you send us off by saying something in Spanish?
Gracias por escucharme hablar y quiero que gana yo este fin de semana.
All right, everyone, that's Kevin Jones. Best of luck to you this week.
Thank you.
And joining us now is our 6th place finisher from last year at this event, Kona Panus. And, well, how does that sound? I just mentioned 6th place. You had to think about that for a moment. Is that invoke good memories, bad memories? What are you taking away from that?
Really good memories. I feel like last year I was like starting to get into a flow of play, and then I got here, and obviously this tournament is very special for a lot of reasons, but you know, one of Innova's, you know, highest ranked events. So to place well here last year felt really good, and just puts me in a place to do better this year.
Well, and you just mentioned that this is, of course, one of Innova's flagship events, and it's been iconic for a couple of decades now. Do you personally have extra obligations when you're here? I've seen you already in an ad or, you know, some social media posts, but being one of the premier players for the Innova team, do you have extra obligations, and does that take away from your practice time?
You know, my dad is the, you know, marketing manager, so I'm kind of obligated to, you know, go if he ever needs me or anything if nobody else is around. But we showed up pretty early. I think we showed up here on, you know, Sunday or Monday, so I've gotten plenty of rounds in. I'm feeling really comfortable with the course. I'm actually really looking forward to tomorrow to see if all the practice I've put in, you know, actually shows up tomorrow, because I'm feeling really good. I've been, you know, hitting my lines, perfect placements. It's just leading down to that putt.
Well, as you speak of comfort, and you also mentioned it coming down to that putt, let's talk about the comfortability from walking of 16 to 17. That's a very long walk, maybe not necessarily distance, but in terms of mentally, it feels like it can be. You have a proficient forehand. What's your game plan? And before you even get to your game plan, break down what are you thinking during that walk?
Yeah, if anything, it's just keeping your mind busy, not really like, because, you know, the whole entire round could pretty much end on that hole, and that's crazy that you could shoot, like, let's say 3 or 4 down and be like, dang, I'm shooting a hot round, and walk to 17 and be like, oh gosh, like anything can happen. But, you know, my game plan is, you know, a star destroyer, something pretty overstable, kind of up high, out left, and I'm kind of bailing out to the right side, if anything, pitching up and taking a solid 3. It's just getting on the island is, you know, the main objective.
Hey Kona, Nate Perkins here. You've talked time and time again about your putt. We see you out there working on the putt. What putt are you going to rock this week?
So, I've been having an issue coming from my right hip, and it's been keeping me from spinning the disc. So I kind of have this modification where I bring my knee out on the downswing, and it actually allows me to come more center. And today I was out on the throw pink. They're going to be a throw pink clinic this Sunday. If you haven't signed up, ladies, sign up. But there were some practice baskets out there, and I was just really focusing on that putt and the spin. For me, it's just getting the spin, because sometimes it just comes out so gross. And yeah, I'm just doing a modified, you know, leg swing out, and then just really focusing on coming up and over and really spinning it to the basket.
Is working on getting it to spin, is that something that you're able to work on with your fiance, Colton Montgomery? I know that you guys practice all the time. Is he able to share anything with you, or is that a place where you guys might draw the line?
No, I actually really take his advice into consideration, because he's with me 24/7. He understands my confidence level, and for me, it's just believing in myself. And sometimes he kind of has to be like, hey, you know, you just need the confidence. You know what you need to do. You're just getting in your head. And so we really go back and forth, and he's been very helpful with my putt.
So on from the putt now, we know that you're one of the better shot shapers in the FPO division. What holes are you feeling comfortable with out here in the arena, and what holes are still giving you trouble off the tee?
I'm really liking 5. It's funny, I played with Paige Pierce last year, and she didn't even go over the water on the 3rd shot, and I was like, oh, why don't you go? I know you can get there. And she's like, why would I go over there when we don't have the mando? The men have to play the mando, go over the water. Women do not, and so it's just, you know, punching a good drive off the tee, center, another drive big around the corner, and then it's just a hyzer, and you can give yourself an easy birdie look. So I'm feeling really confident with that one. Obviously, like Terry said, hole 17 is definitely going to mess with the mind, and then 18, because the fairway really narrows down as you're getting towards the green, and that it is a tough 3rd approach to the basket. You don't want it to skip, and I've had some issues releasing a little bit early, going in that tree line. So for me, it's just really focusing on trusting my disc to go straight and fade back to the basket.
Hi, Kona. Hannah McBeth here. You've had some memorable finishes this year, starting off with the win all the way back in the beginning of the year with the Disc Golf Pro Tour doubles event, winning your first Elite Series event at Waco, recently taking second place at MVP. With the season wrapping up, how are you feeling about your job this year?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I mean, I put in a lot of work the past few years. It feels like this year was the one that really everything clicked. Obviously, like Nate mentioned, the putt's been back and forth. I've kind of had to modify some things to do whatever worked, but I believe in if you need to change something, you need to change it to do what you need to do. And you know, I've had an insane amount of support from not only my fans and followers this year, but also, you know, my sponsors, Innova, Bushnell, and Infinite Backstage Organics has been a huge ad this year with eating healthy, and you know, Pound Disc Golf's been super helpful. So it's just the amount of support, and it makes the job a lot easier.
I asked this question to Missy Gannon, and I'm going to ask you as well. You carry such a joyful, laid-back energy, and you're both known for that. But what gets Kona Panus fired up and motivated heading into an event like this?
I think just like Terry said at the beginning, that sixth place finish, I always look to improve. I always look to you know, do better, and I would love a top 5 finish. Like I said, I'm playing the course really well. I'm hitting my lines. During practice, I didn't really have many issues with OB, and so, you know, it's just hitting that top 5 that's really getting me fired up.
Well, you know, Winthrop is all about pacing. It is a 4-day event. How will you pace yourself out there? Are you going aggressive, maybe a bit more conservative?
Yeah, definitely conservative. Like I said, hole 5, I'm not even going over the water. I think hole 8, I'm not even throwing like a fairway or a driver on that second shot. I'm throwing a nice, simple, straight Mako 3 to stay in the fairway. For me, I'm playing pretty safe on a lot of holes, kind of wondering if, you know, Paige, Katrina are going to go for it and maybe go out of bounds and, you know, do that aggressive stuff. It's, for me, I'm stoked with like a, you know, 2 to 3, 4 under, you know, super consistent, not looking to get too aggressive.
So you've been pretty much in the spotlight since you started in disc golf and you put yourself there. How do you feel you've been handling that, and what would you tell Kona Panus all the way back in 2016?
Oh boy. I'd tell her to chill out on the social media. I've definitely been experiencing some anxiety this year. I don't know if that's really off of social media, but I feel like it's been a part of it. We've had a lot of people join the sport, and there's definitely more eyes. You know, my new sponsor Bushnell, I feel like I have more obligations to play better and, you know, have a good brand, and so that's definitely added to my mental health, and so I've been trying to do better with that. It's been tough, but this year has been really good.
Hey Kona, so you mentioned earlier that on Sunday you'll be helping out with the Throw Pink Clinic. I just wanted to ask you if you could share a little bit more about what that is for anybody who might not know.
So I will not be there. There will actually be some other Innova ladies who will be helping out. But Sarah Nicholson, she is in charge of Throw Pink, and that's just raising awareness for breast cancer and other amazing things for women. And the Throw Pink event, it really shows women disc golf, and so there's going to be some top-tier pros out there giving clinics on drives, on forehands, putts, approaches. There's going to be little stations for each woman to go and do, and the top pros will show them how to do them and give them the confidence to hopefully take disc golf to the next step.
That's really awesome, and it's so great to see you and so many other pros embracing programs like that. I want to transition now just real quickly to some of the big news that's been released by the Disc Golf Pro Tour over the past couple of weeks. Big merger with the PDGA National Tour, as well as the 2022 schedule. Just curious if you have thoughts on either of those two big announcements as you look towards the future.
Yeah, I love that DGPT and PDGA merged. I feel like Disc Golf Pro Tour is taking disc golf to that next level. PDGA is really good with our amateur divisions, and I feel like their focus has been kind of with the AMs lately, and DGPT has been more focused on the professionals. And so I feel like Disc Golf Pro Tour, they put us in this light that is just, you know, professional. We want people to see us, like, take us seriously. You know, we're not just throwing frisbees around and doing silly stuff. You know, we're here to compete. We're here to, you know, make money and entertain. So really excited for that. And then the schedule, it's looking great. It actually looks like we have some free time in between some tournaments, so maybe some time to rest the body a little bit more, or maybe go to some of those local tournaments and see some other locals.
Absolutely. And is there any particular event on that schedule that really excites you? Is there an event that you would really just love to take down as you head into 2022?
I would love to take down LVC. That's one of our first events of the season. It's also a big Innova event, and I'm going to be there a week in advance doing some other stuff I don't know if it's been announced yet, so keep an eye out. Yeah, I'd love to take down LVC. That's a big one.
All right, Kona Panus, we saw you in 6th last year. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do in the 2021 campaign. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Joining us now is Chad Sullivan, Director of Athlete Experience. And Chad, I'm just going to lead right in with an obvious one. What does that mean?
We like to do things a little bit bigger and better every year here, and one of the main pieces we wanted to focus on was just the athlete experience when they're here on property for the event overall. When they come in, you feel it as a fan, you feel it as a player, you feel it as a staff member, a volunteer, partner, sponsor. When you walk in, there's just a different energy, and we wanted to carry that over into the overall athlete experience, and we want to offer a little bit more for the players, from a secluded practice area to just overall communications, and just that total full package experience, and just make it better.
Yeah, some of the staples at this event throughout the years have been things like the hospitality area, where players could walk over and get essentially as much food or drink as they wanted. They could come and go. It was something that was set up almost from what felt like, sunrise to sunset. We saw that for so many years, along with golf carts, transporting people around, and just all of those little added bonuses that, like you said, raise the professionalism of it. Now we're at a point where we have so many fans that you actually have to kind of keep the fans away from the players. Is that something that has really popped up more so in the last couple of years?
Absolutely. This year especially, coming back from everything last year and moving back into that fan experience, interacting with the players more than ever. There's so many more people out there that every disc golf tournament each weekend could be their first one ever. And, some of the feedback we've heard from players out there this year is that they we're looking for maybe a little bit more separation between the fans and the players, not necessarily in a negative way, but just to keep that buffer alive. And that's one of the things we really focused on this year. From the practice area, we have the player village down in the former practice area. So now it's going to be not only a practice area, but we're working with the Gerthy family. They're going to be catering, essentially, offering that player hospitality feel, food and drinks and all that will be out there for them. They can practice and warm up. They've got essentially the entire golf course over there to do their thing before the round and after the round. And as they come up through, we're going to keep things a little bit next level and offer them a great experience.
Well, and that's everything for the players, which we know, like you said, they need that buffer. They need to be able to get into the zone and get ready, and that's just the stage of where we're now arriving to in disc golf. If you're coming here as a spectator and as a fan, or maybe even a potential customer, what are some of the things that people could expect when they come here in terms of vending opportunities and special releases or things that they can take in when they're actually coming here on site?
For sure. We've got, as soon as you roll up into the property, you come off of Eden Terrace, you're going to be greeted by a full security team. We wanted to secure the property as best as we can. Winthrop is a beautiful campus. It's a big campus. So bringing them in to secure the area for everybody. It is a ticketed event, obviously. So as soon as you come through, we will move you into the parking area and you can get situated. And as you flow into the course, there's the championship village. It's going to be filled with vendors. Right around 30 vendors offering things pretty much up and down the spectrum of disc golf and discs to shirts, hats, all that good stuff. We will have the tournament pro shop down there ready to rock, grab new releases each day like always. And then as they come through, there's going to be food, drinks, and the course, as you know, it surrounds you when you're on property. There's a hole pretty much in any direction that you decide to walk, and it's just the feel, as soon as you come out, it's just electric, and you can feel that everybody's just on another level, from fans all the way to the players.
Well, and throughout the years, we've seen this event partner with a number of charities over the last couple of decades. Specifically, we've now also seen the Chains for Charity. I know Jay Redding and others have really championed that. Can you give everyone a little breakdown as exactly what that means and how they can still go be a part of it?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Chains for Charities is a really cool charity for the players, essentially. They're going to be out there competing, and it's going to be available on Disc Golf United. You can jump in and you can pretty much put up a pledge for the player. So every time they make a birdie, eagle, or I believe there is an ace level, hopefully we see some of those this week, you'll put up a dollar amount. So if you put up $1 for a birdie on Paul McBeth, you can see he makes 20 birdies out there, then you'll be donating $20 to the Chains for Charity cause.
All right, and they can make sure to check that out. I'd get on there as late as tonight. I think up until sometime tomorrow morning you're eligible, but just get it done, get it all taken care of tonight. One of my last questions for you would be, stepping into this very, very important and bigger and bigger role that now exists, what's been the most unique takeaway that you've had? Here we are the day before the event. I think your answer will be different in 4 days, but right now, up into this point, what's been the biggest takeaway?
The biggest takeaway, I would say, is probably the relationships. This is a new experience for me. I've been involved with the team for a little bit, but building the relationships with some of the players, I've known a few of them, but just getting that interaction, trying to help them out with things they need, whether it's, where are we meeting here, what time's the first tee, stuff like that. I think it's awesome meeting some of the staff and volunteers, and just overall getting back to championship week that we know and love. Last year was a little bit different, and seeing and feeling it again this year is really special.
Absolutely. I wanted to kind of transition just a little bit, looking towards next year. The Disc Golf Pro Tour released the 2022 schedule earlier this week, and USDGC is in the same spot, right before the Tour Championship into the regular season. Is there anything you're working on? You're always trying to make it bigger and better. What are you kind of thinking about as you look towards 2022 in the future?
Absolutely. Great question. We're working really hard to work on this year. You know, there's so much going on, but we've got some cool plans for next year. We love sitting in that spot on the schedule. You can't really get too much better weather around here. And just overall looking forward to hopefully pulling out some new stuff next year, but taking away this year and just trying to figure out how we can make it better overall.
Absolutely. And just one more for me, you know, as you reflect on the history of this event and the history of what USDGC means to the sport, what are some takeaways? What are some things that you look at and can feel pride in for you guys as USDGC, and kind of how far you've come to where we are with the disc golf sport today?
Yeah, it's special. You know, you go out there in the course. Obviously, there's been changes through the years. That's always one of the highlights of the event is we keep it fresh, keep it moving. But at the same time, you can walk out there and you know everybody's seen the battle, the playoff, the epic playoff, and you see some of the grainy footage from the original tournament, and it's still there. You know, like you get to experience that, and there's so much new in disc golf overall right now, and we're experiencing so much growth. But at the same time, it's really great to be able to open your eyes and see some of the history, especially on this property and during championship week.
Absolutely. And as somebody who works on media for Disc Golf Pro Tour, we are very thankful for everybody who was out there during those early days to help tell that story at events like USDGC and Pro Worlds.
Absolutely. We're super excited to have you guys.
And with that, Chad, last one for anyone that's thinking about making the drive, whether they're within a few hours or maybe halfway across the country yet, what is it that they need to do? Can they still find tickets? Can you show up on site? What's kind of the policy and procedure at this point?
At this point, I would definitely say your best bet is to come down if you don't have a ticket or a pass to purchase it at the gate. I do believe you can still prepay and buy those online. Saturday is extremely close to being sold out, so definitely jump in there. If you haven't been before, it's one of the best experiences in disc golf, and if you have been before, then you know, why aren't you here yet?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's no better way to finish it. Thank you so much for all the information, Chad. And this is going to conclude our Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships, along with the United States Disc Golf Championship press conference. Look forward to seeing the action unfold this week, and thank you for everything you're doing to make it the experience it'll be. We'll see you guys next time.